its name from the Albert Memorial, which predates the Manchester Town Hall by 10 years. The memorial was designed by Thomas Worthington. Under the canopy is a statue of Prince Albert by Matthew Noble. A little to the north of the memorial, again by Thomas Worthington, is the Jubilee Fountain from 1897, commemorating Queen Victoria's 60th year on the throne. We are now departing from Manchester Town Hall.
Welcome again, it's a pain weather, but someone else is sat next to me, which you'll probably see in a few days, but he don't want to talk, and no one likes him, and no one likes the school, so back on this bus again. We're back on this bus, V145 MEV, new Stagecoach in London in 1999. One of the oldest buses left in service, one of the old Dennis Trident EWEs, still left in service, but not operated which is not operated by Stagecoach. Stagecoach doesn't have anymore. Unfortunately, this is an unfortunate video, but go ahead. Now this bus has sat its career, and it's still unfortunately got its career. Not in part of the Stagecoach service anymore. V145 MEV, new Stagecoach in London in 1999. Abandoned at Haven Holiday Homes. Abandoned as Haven Holiday Homes and Colonies, operating with Coastliner, Trans Coastliner, which currently have 4 open toppers on the road.
Attention! We will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated. Known as Metrolink, Manchester's tram system is the largest in the UK. In 1988, government approval was granted to bring trams back to the streets of Manchester, and the first route between Bury and Victoria Station was opened in 1992. There are now 8 routes running through the city centre and into Greater Manchester. In addition, there is the Metro Shuttle, a free bus system numbered 1, 2 and 3, linking the main rail stations, car parks, shopping areas and businesses.
As well as the old buses, like I said yesterday, but I don't bother. I keep forgetting what I say every day.
All the banks and former banks on these streets led the area to be dubbed the Half Square Mile, after the Square Mile financial district in London. Manchester's city centre main radio transmitter crowns City Tower, the tallest element of the complex, at 107 metres or 352 feet. The concrete decoration down the side is said to represent early computer circuitry, a nod to Manchester's status as a computer pioneer, particularly with the machine tagged Baby from 1948, the first computer to have an electronic memory. As we approach the traffic lights, you might glimpse Manchester's Chinatown and its magnificent gate. The district has restaurants, medicine shops, financial and legal services, and supermarkets.
Another history to tell you, the first low-floor low-floor buses in the UK were these ALX4, was an ALX400. That's one bit of history. but they don't bother saying it because they're not bothered. They disappoint us. And this has come from a very decent, not very good state of Stagecoach. Although it's come from Golden Tours in London after retired in Stagecoach, after withdrew its operation in the Stagecoach career at Stagecoach.
Have you got sweets? Oh, it just went round in a circle.
There's the 42, the E400 hybrids. Yeah. Can't believe that they've seen couple buses in Chesterfield. They aren't for the peak sightseeing. It's 15718, 15719 in Stagecoach in Yorkshire in 2010. Coming down as right end 60s.
Oh yeah?
We will be having new buses, but not them.
Oh, do you not know these ones?
Unfortunately, we don't get them buses. E400 MMC, a new bus.
This area around Canal Street comprises Manchester's gay village. The pedestrianised street, which runs along the west side of the Rochdale Canal, is lined with bars and restaurants. Canal Street was developed when the canal was constructed in 1804, a trade artery running through the city and the first waterway to cross the country linking east and west coasts. Pubs and other businesses evolved to service the users of the canal. Canal Street is the hub for the Manchester Pride Big Weekend, held each August bank holiday. Starting off from humble beginnings in 1989, the event is now one of the largest of its kind within the UK.
That's a very strange name, gay village, but who's bothered? But yeah, checking it.
You're right, but that's an you're right. Hey, you're meant to be sightseeing, not excited.
A true fact, if you ask the scientist, ask your science teacher this question. Ask your science teachers, great. Ask your science teachers at school this question.
A-Town Street is named after Roger A-Town. A-Town came to Manchester from Scotland in 1769. In his 20s, Roger married 65-year-old Barbara Minshall to much scandal, who was one of the North West's wealthiest people and owner of swathes of land across Manchester. The most prominent building on the street is the mighty Crown Courts complex over the Rochdale Canal. It was designed by Thomas Worthington and opened in 1871 as the City Police Courts. Attention! We will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated.
Say you don't hurt or die or get electrocuted by a tram. Unfortunately, it didn't sound good as yesterday. Sounds better than yesterday. Unfortunately, it still doesn't sound good as yesterday. And you can kill yourself. And oh, we don't go under the electric tram cable. It's a shame. Dickhead with Honda Civic. Honda Conda. Go northwest. E4 E200s. With I think they're Enviro 200 from London, because most of the buses they have going northwest, they've come from London. So that is a London bus in Varo 200. And there's one of the ADL in Varo 400. No, not from Stagecoach in Skegness. Currently have E400 and E400 from Hull, which are replacing the old, platted vehicles.
Then food things and stories, you know. That little marketplace where they do the food, that was stories, you know. It's fair, it's like as well. So what used to be the pub, the building into the bar park.
Place you in, see how well you go. There's an E400 MMC, new to Stagecoach in Manchester in 2017, and the E400 new to Stagecoach in Manchester in 2008. The 8 wedge in Varo 400 and 16.
Do you just want to sit here and I'll sit further? Yeah, it's a bit cold, but it's better than sitting there. One sec, I'll read it. Don't worry. Okay, put those in your bag.
This is the same as the X wedge, so 172 39172. There's the free bus where you have to pay. You can just hop on and hop off any time of the day you want. A free bus. You don't need to pay, it's free, it's absolutely free, you don't need to pay. Which I think it's a good idea, having a free bus service to help the cost of living, at the cost of living crisis. It's diesel electric hybrid powered Optera-versus. Yeah, the Optera-versus.
Hello, my name's Naomi and I will be assisting Dominic with this tour today. If you've just joined the tour, welcome aboard, get comfy and enjoy the ride. But first, a few messages. The tour lasts for approximately 75 minutes, but you can hop on or off at any of our stopping places. In the interest of safety, can you please remain seated at all times? We will pass under several bridges, therefore no standing is allowed on the upper deck at any time.
Yeah, just remind you that if you are, it is illegal for open toppers to go under so many bridges. Under a bridge under 13, this is 13.10. Yeah, it is 13.10. And you go to a bridge where it's 13.12, open toppers, double deckers are not allowed to go under the bridge, or they'll be in a obviously last week I'd rescued obviously backed up 70.
We are now entering an area known as the Northern Quarter. The streets around here, Newton Street, Lever Street and Stevenson Square, are characterised by large converted textile warehouses. They hint at Manchester's previous dominance, when the city controlled 80% of the world's cotton trade. UK production would peak between 1912 and 1914, with up to 8 billion linear yards of finished cotton production. The nearest rival was Japan with 56 million linear yards. Business declined after World War II, as production rose in countries closer to the raw material. and with cheaper labour. The Royal Exchange closed in 1968, and there is no cotton industry in Greater Manchester today. The old warehouses in the city centre still provide strong bones for the city, and have now been converted into apartments, offices, bars and restaurants. Famous Northern Quarter shopping can be found in Affleck's Palace and Manchester Craft and Design Centre. There are numerous live music venues such as Band on the Wall, The Castle, Night and Day and Matt and Fred's. Stephenson Square was previously Manchester's Speaker's Corner start point of marches and parades. Those seeking democratic reform such as Chartists, union members and suffragettes would address crowds here. Today, colourful street art makes for a lively scene.
Manchester Arndale follows the curve of the road here on the left. Building commenced in 1972, when the area was a patchwork of mostly Victorian buildings forming a 17th and 18th century layout of streets and alleys. This area has been rebuilt in the last couple of decades. On Saturday, June 15, 1996, the IRA detonated a powerful bomb in Corporation Street, causing devastating damage to the Arndale Centre and surrounding areas, but there were no fatalities. The bomb rebuild has won many awards, provided far more public space, and attracted big names in retail and food and drink. These days, Manchester Arndale is home to over 200 stylish stores, making it one of the largest inner-city shopping centres in the UK. The Printworks entertainment venue is located on the site of the business premises of the 19th century newspaper proprietor Edward Holton, established in 1873. The current premises became the largest city centre newspaper printing house in Europe and housed a printing press until 1986. Visitors today will find an array of restaurants, bars, clubs, and even an IMAX cinema.
Our next stop is the National Football Museum. The green glass building on the left, hosting the National Football Museum, is called Urbis and opened in June 2002 as a symbol of regeneration after the IRA's 1996 Manchester bombing. Since 2012, Urbis has been home to the National Football Museum, which, covering 4 floors, has the largest collection of football-related memorabilia in the UK and attracts over 500,000 visitors each year.
So basically, there's the 135, 135. The bus that usually operate on 135 is coming on the 100 today. I don't know, it just gets around. Every day is different.
The original Victoria Station was designed by George Stephenson and completed by 1844, of which part still remains in the current structure. The 2012 new block of Chetham's School of Music is on the left. The school was established in 1969, incorporating Chetham's Hospital School, founded as a charity school by Humphrey Chetham in 1653. Events venue Manchester Arena, seen here, opened in 1995 and has the highest seating capacity of any indoor venue in the United Kingdom and the second largest in Europe, with a capacity of 21,000. The Bee Gees, 10cc, Joy Division, New Order, The Smiths, Simply Red, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, Oasis, The Verve, Take That, and on and on. Greater Manchester has given rise to large numbers of musical performers. The Halle Orchestra, created in 1858 and named after the German inspiration and first conductor, Charles Halley, is one of the several orchestras in the city. The BBC Philharmonic and the Manchester Camerata are the other two main orchestras. The ancient sandstone walls of Cheetham's rise up on the left. These are in many ways the most enchanting Manchester buildings and the oldest complete structures in the city. They began life as priests' quarters for the nearby church in 1421. In 1653, through his will, successful merchant Humphrey Cheetham created a school for poor boys and a library, much of which can still be visited. Today, it is the School of Music. The library is the most precious space in the building and is now the oldest free public library in the English-speaking world. Manchester Cathedral is the seat of the Bishop of Manchester and the city's parish church. Parts of the cathedral date back to 1215. There has been a church on this site for around 1300 years. The cathedral was badly damaged during the Christmas Blitz of 1940, but fortunately, most of the woodwork survived. This forms some of the finest such art in the United Kingdom. The choir and nave ceiling are particularly magnificent. Once across the River Irwell, we are now in the city of Salford, Manchester's twin. It received city status in 1926. A sleepy place until the Industrial Revolution, it shared its neighbour's sudden rise in the early 19th century. It has its own cathedral, university, and was home to the Port of Manchester, now the Quays, on the Manchester Ship Canal. With Media City UK, the city hosts perhaps the largest concentration of broadcast media in Europe. The old church here is Sacred Trinity and started life in 1634. The tower is original. The rest of the church was rebuilt in 1752. The church was founded 7 years before the outbreak of the English Civil Wars in 1642. The most moving monument within the church is to the 400 officers and men of the Salford battalions of the Lancashire Fusiliers who were killed on the 1st of July 1916. Not so far away from Sacred Trinity was the site of the Reverend William Cowherd's Bible Christian Church. In 1809, the aptly named preacher persuaded his congregation to give up meat and alcohol. This became the inspiration of the UK's Vegetarian Society, which was formed in 1847 and still resides in the region at Altrincham in South Manchester.
"23 minutes into the trip and no issues with traffic. There's a driver learning going northwest. Volvo B10, we've got B90 generally. Volvo B90 going northwest. That's a different company to they recognise the company to not this. Yeah, big population of Stagecoach, which is really funny. Going northwest double decker passenger bus being used as a driver training. To be honest with you everyone, I don't know what you think about this, about what I'm uploading. More on the thingy, a Audi more one. Not bothered what he does. There's the B network, Volvo V380 Geminis, which currently B7 Volvo B97 Gemini. Unfortunately, this is the way how it's going to work. So I'll upload as I can, best as I can, rubbish as I can. Also, banter. Some people just post very hue saturated videos. Oh, you're bullied. Also, you have the Tom Boss because it's just been raining. That's what you expect for the Peak District. There's too many trees, elite water coming out of the trees. That's outcome Stagecoach in Chesterfield. Don't think I'm recommending having open toppers during the Make Sightseeing when it's cold weather, because also it goes darker in winter, obviously because it goes dark at 4 o'clock at night.
The Cathedral Church of St. John the Evangelist is better known as Salford Cathedral. It is the Roman Catholic cathedral for the region and was designed by Matthew Hadfield and opened on the 9th of August 1848. On the 25th of July 1851, William Turner was consecrated the first bishop of Salford. The cathedral's eastern window of 1856 depicts the history of Catholic Christianity in England.
After the traffic lights here, there is a view across the meander of the River Irwell, with the West Pennine Moors in the distance. The grassed area, the meadow, in the foreground was the home of the earliest known cricket clubs in the region. The pleasant green space on the right we are approaching features statues of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, surrounded by notable buildings. The oldest of these is the elegant central structure, and was adapted from a former private mansion called Lark Hill. This is now Salford Museum and Art Gallery. The museum and art gallery, with its interesting collections, are free of charge and contain a recreation of a 19th century Salford street, Lark Hill Place. The fierce red building to the left of the museum and art gallery as we look at it was opened as the Royal Technical Institute in 1896 by Henry Lloyd. The institute eventually became the University of Salford in 1967. The 60s buildings to the right comprise part of the university, which has more than 20,000 students. Notable alumni include the comedian Peter Kay and the co-songwriter and guitarist of the Smiths, Johnny Marr. The last house on the left here is the Working Class Movement Library, a treasure trove of pamphlets, magazines, books, and other study materials, covering the vital role working class movements have played in creating our modern democracy.
We're calling it Salford Central, which you may noticed. Salford Crescent, where services where the Manchester Victoria and Salford Crescent, Salford Central, Salford Crescent, where you could see over the line between Manchester Oxford Road going up to Manchester Victoria. Trains coming from Manchester Oxford Road to Manchester Victoria, if you didn't know that. Particularly on the highway, if you're driving open toppers, don't drive them so fast, so people fly out. But when you haven't got anyone on, you can just drive how fast you want. Even 90 miles per hour. This vehicle can only do 45 miles per hour. And that's how come it's getting old, because it's old age. And many old cars are not going to do 20 miles per hour. And if you were to drive coach or a fast vehicle, what would require loads of human strength and human power. For example, the museum history,
Manchester and Salford are cities of firsts. In the 19th century, Greater Manchester became the world's first modern industrial city. In politics, religion and society, ideas and organisations from Manchester include the free trade movement, the female suffrages movement and suffragettes, the Trade Union Congress, and, as we have seen, vegetarianism.
Guy Fawkes and Doctor Who, you may know as the waste treatment and recovery truck. Treatment, everything. Might pick up some power up here.
This area of Salford has changed significantly over the last couple of decades and is now dominated by the intersection of the M602 motorway. However, the spire of the Stowell Memorial Church on the right has overlooked the area since 1867 and was built by public subscription after the death of devoted minster Hugh Stowell to honour his life and work. The church was closed in 1981 and demolished in 1990, but the steeple was retained and actually serves as a telephone mast.
We are now approaching the headwaters of Manchester Ship Canal. In 1882, Daniel Adamson, an eminent Manchester engineer, organised a campaign for the construction of a canal to allow ocean-going traffic to sail inland as far as the city. Manchester Ship Canal was the largest single engineering project undertaken in 19th century Britain. Opened by Queen Victoria in 1894, the trade the canal generated, together with the largest industrial area of Trafford Park, helped bolster Manchester's industry for decades. In 1983, Salford City Council had acquired 220 acres from the Manchester Ship Canal Company. The area we're approaching was rebranded as Salford Quays, and redevelopment began in 1985. Between 1986 and 1990, the infrastructure of the docks were modified to create an internal waterway network. Moorings and water sports facilities were provided, and a hotel, cinema, housing, and offices were built. The key to success was providing culture, retail, and food and drink. In the year 2000, the Lowry Theatre opened, which was the catalyst for the second and more successful phase of development. Attention! We will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated.
I don't think there's an electric tram cable anywhere, you idiots. Who's bothered? You can say it again because no one can hear you, idiot. That's what this voice is, an absolute idiot, it's an absolute moron. Don't worry, there's no electric tram cable near, so it's acting like a moron. Oh, this bus is a moron.
Media City UK is the nation's largest concentration of media, principally occupied by almost 2,500 BBC staff, who started to arrive in 2011. Among the buildings is Key House, which broadcasts BBC Breakfast, Match of the Day, BBC Radio 5 Live, and Northwest Tonight. Then there's Bridge House, where Blue Peter, Mastermind, Dragon's Den, and CBBC are produced. In the main square of Media City UK is a large screen, but the dominant building is the studios with its strong colours. This contains 7 high-definition studios. One of the studios is occupied by the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra.
The next stop is Salford Quays and Media City. You can get off the bus here to explore the BBC and ITV studios, the Imperial War Museum, and the Lowry Theatre and Art Gallery, both of which are free to visit. There are also plenty of opportunities to eat, drink, and shop. If you are getting off the bus to explore, please check the schedule for the times of the next and last tours to hop back on later.
People, you should the cars, you're dumb. Dumb. People, the cars are so dumb these days. Also, there's a person next to me who loves, he probably loves nothing more. Also, I think it's a bit strange what you're saying. I'll tell you. So basically, we've got him up here. No one likes anyone, so it takes an hour and 20 minutes anyway for you to, for people to sit on board. Obviously on the peak sightseeing duty, you'd be 8 hours. You do. 3.5 hours on duty 221, which is the first one.
The Lowry is free to visit. This stainless steel building was designed by Michael Wilford and comprises 3 stunning theatres, an art gallery, a restaurant, a shop, and conference facilities. It opened in 2000 and kick-started the redevelopment of the quays. It attracts several 100,000 people each year. The galleries are devoted to Manchester artist Lawrence Stephen Lowry, and to temporary and visiting exhibitions. Lowry was born in Old Trafford, the home of Manchester United, but was a Manchester City supporter. He lived in Greater Manchester in various homes all his life. His work gradually gained fame during his lifetime, their deceptively simple nature and frequently homely themes creating populist appeal. He is famous for his industrial scenes, but should also be remembered for his eerie and desolate landscapes and seascapes.
The Manchester Ship Canal enabled the newly created Port of Manchester to become Britain's 3rd busiest port, even though the city was about 40 miles inland. Despite opening in 1894, it was never the commercial success its sponsors had hoped for. The amount of freight carried by the canal peaked in 1958 at 18 million tonnes. The increasing size of ocean-going ships and the port's failure to introduce modern container methods resulted in the volume of freight dropping steadily, and the closure of the docks in Salford in